Good morning. Hey, let me start off this morning talking about the street repair initiative, which I did not talk about during the mayor's portion of the agenda today. Public Works reallocated resources to respond to my pothole initiative, street repair initiative. And if you can recall, the average number of potholes that were reported in 2015 were 22 a day. And then since January 14, we witnessed a peak of 251 pothole cases reported. There were more potholes reported in January in the previous 6 months than in the previous 6 months combined. As of March 8, 2016, we have 2,238 citizen-reported potholes filled, 11,099 City of Houston proactively filled potholes, for a total of 13,337 potholes filled since January 4, 2006. And they have been assessed and addressed 95% of the time by the next business day. So I'm very, very pleased with those numbers. With regards to the more serious street conditions, many reported potholes were more than just potholes, but there are street conditions requiring a skin patch or a concrete panel replacement. And as a result, the number of street repair condition cases reported has increased. That's more than the potholes. On January 4th of this year, the number was 496. On January 30th, that number had grown to 1,149. But as of March 9th of 2016, we have lowered that number to 485. Also, potholes called in that turned out to be larger than a pothole are repaired using skin patch or concrete panel replacement. There are currently 111 of these on the mayor's priority report, and that's down from a peak of 240 on February 9, 2016. So I really want to thank the employees of Public Works. I want to thank Dale Rudick. I want to thank Eric Dargan and all of the employees for just doing a stellar job in tending to the pothole initiative and now tending with the more serious street repair problems. We are making significant progress in improving the infrastructure, at least as it relates to our streets for the city of Houston. And I wanted to get those numbers out to you. So having said that, now I'll take whatever questions that you may have.
You mentioned the difficulties with the recycling contract. Part of the underlying problem was that the lower commodity prices caused difficulties for waste management. Is there a strike price or some amount that those prices will have to go back up that would start to resolve this?
I can't specifically tell you at what cost per barrel of oil needs to be before commodity prices will start to go back up and where we become much more attractive financially than what it is today. All I can say to you is because our prices are where they are today, the market conditions have changed. But hopefully, who knows where the price of a barrel of oil will be a year from now or a year and a half from now. And that is a part of the consideration that I had to take into account in entering into a six-year contract when you're looking at the market conditions as they currently are. That's why I would have preferred, for example, a more short-term arrangement. But we was not able to work that agreement out with Waste Management. So we are exploring all possible alternatives for recycling to continue. And then I'll be more definitive about that on Monday. But I'm certainly committed to recycling. As you heard today, the members of the City Council are also committed to recycling. And so we will work to make sure that it continues. We're just having to now make the reach out to many other participants, businesses in the area. Procurement is working with us on this as well. So hopefully by Monday, I can tell people how we will continue. But we will continue with recycling. The question is with whom.
Mayor, could you talk about the email you were forwarded that you spoke to today?
Yeah, it was an
And why
email
so?
that came from one of the advocates that was sent to us. Essentially, she sent an email to Waste Management encouraging them to work with the city. And then David Steiner, the CEO from Waste Management, responded to her and made with what I indicated. What I read from the email that he sent. So those were direct statements coming from Steiner, indicating that they had started these conversations, indicated to the city a year ago that the market conditions were changing, that they were losing like $1 million. I don't know if it was I can't recall what it was.
They said some things that were concerning to you that you said were blatantly untrue.
Yeah, they were losing $1 million per year on the contract, and that nothing had taken place until I called them 2 weeks ago, which that's not true, because between January 4th and the time I came into office to where we are today, we've had several conversations, my administration, with Waste Management, and then indicated that that I wanted Waste Management to continue to lose for additional 18 months, as he put it, so that I would not look bad as a politician. Come on, give me a break. But the reality is that what they were asking for, and then based on the comments that were coming from members of City Council, they were concerned about entering into a 6-year deal with the financial situation of the city as they are, and that's good sense. And I simply called to say whether or not we could work something out. Did not expect any business to lose any money, but the additional cost was going to be $1 million for 2016 and $3.2 million for 2017. And my offer was, can we split the difference with the city? And I indicated that I would find ways to come up with an additional $1.7 million if they will also assume that the $1.7 million. And that offer was refused, and then asked for a 2 weeks extension so we continue to look at some things. And then that failed on March 16th, and City Council is not meeting on March 16th, asked for another extension to the 23rd, and that added week was refused. And then I proposed that we enter into a shorter version, a 1-year contract with a 1-year renewal. And initially, Don Smith, who represents Waste Management, said, we don't need a contract for that. Just take the city can take your stuff to the gate and pay the gate charges. I want to know what the gate charges were. And then they took that off the table and said, we will offer a 2-year contract with a 1-year extension, where the cost of a 2-year deal was something like $7.3 million. And then another, that added third year, would have sent it over $10 million on a 3-year deal, when the 6-year contract was for $18 million. So they simply did not want to work that arrangement, and they were making it cost prohibitive even for a short-term arrangement. They certainly have every right to do what they want to do, but I think it's incumbent for the city now to explore all possible options. The commitment is there to continue recycling, and I anticipate recycling continuing. We may, instead of it being like twice a month, it may have to be once a month for right now, but we are certainly talking to a number of other players out here in the marketplace, and this is the 4th largest city. At some point, other players in the market, I think, will start looking to the market in the city of Houston. So it may not be as regular as it has been for a while, but we will see. We are exploring all possible options, talking to a number of different players. I talked to one of the players yesterday myself, and this particular company said that they could possibly ramp up in about 3 to 4 months. Then there's other players who could assume some of our stuff even right now. Okay, so just give us a few days to work to try to put something in place so that recycling can continue. What we don't want anybody to do is to say that we're going to do recycling and then go and put it in the landfill. Now that happened in Dallas, so I'll leave it up to you all to find out why Dallas is no longer using waste management. Talk to Dallas. I'll let Dallas speak for themselves. But this is the 4th largest city. All I can tell you is that the people with me and my administration have worked very hard to try to reach the best deal with the company. But every deal that comes before City Council, we listen. Everybody has to have input in the process, and the input that the City Council members gave when the initial deal came up, I think they raised some legitimate concerns, and we then attempted to talk with Waste Management, bearing in mind those concerns and the financial constraints. So, we've got a good team here, and we will continue to work very hard so that recycling can continue in the city of Houston.
I think you and several of the council members actually viewed their handling of this as bullying, as
I would tell you, heavy-handed, and even one of the other potential competitors, so to speak, people who are doing business, another CEO, as he put it in my conversation with him on yesterday, Waste Management Mayor is playing very hardball on this subject. Look, people have the right to operate their business however they want to do it. I respect them for that. But as a CEO, as the manager of this city, my obligation is to protect the interests, especially the financial interests, of every Houstonian that's in the city of Houston. And I'm not going to enter into a deal that I do not believe that is in the best interest of the people of the city of Houston. We will work very diligently to continue to have recycling, and I hope to come before you on Monday with a plan that will lay out how we intend to proceed with recycling. This contract goes through March 16th. So it goes through March 16th. It is my hope that we can continue to move forward with the least disruption to recycling. But we are committed to it, and we're going to work very hard. And as Councilmember Cisneros says, this may be one of those opportunities where you end up with something even better in the long run for recycling, instead of just being committed to any one person or entity.
Mayor, do you expect there to be any lapse in recycling after the contract expires on Wednesday?
We're going to try to avoid any lapse or any long-term lapses. We know the contract goes into March 16th. We have been looking at and talking to other players out in the market. So we're going to try to minimize any disruption. But Rebecca, I really think people in the city understand when, number one, this conversation would not even be taking place if the economic realities of the marketplace were not where they are. And we don't control the price of oil. Okay, so people understand that. And when the initial contract came up, everyone is hoping that the market changes. The market hadn't changed. The market has been very stubborn. And then at the same time, when I took office, the expected budgetary shortfall was $126 million. Well, the sales tax went down a month later, 7.5%, which has driven the shortfall up higher. Where even in our conversations, for example, with Waste Management, those factors weren't at play. And so now you're looking at the contract in view of where we are right now, the market constraints, the fiscal pressure on the budget, and the question is, when you're looking at the potentially of cutting back services or laying off people, and then these added costs, how do you deal with that? And so my hope was, since we were looking at a long-term 6-year contract with Waste Management, and the market may change a year and a half from now, is to say to them, look, let's both parties assume some risk here. And I'm prepared to go to the members of City Council to keep for recycling to continue and say, let's find a way to come up with an additional $1.7 million, okay? And what I was saying to Waste Management, you've been with us for a while, partner, okay? This is a 6-year deal. I'm asking you to come up with that other 1.7 mil. And then let's move forward, recycling continues. $1.7 million. I mean, they just settled a lawsuit with Harris County for $29.2 million about a year ago. But they said no. I understand that. And then I came back and said, okay, then let's just do something short term. 1 year win, 1 year renewal. They said no. So the marketing conditions have changed. The financial pressure on the budget are more severe. I mean, I'm asking the council members to cut their district service fund and other things. So I think people understand that. I think people understand that the city is committed to recycling. We don't want to go back in time. I fully understand that when you're having to stop it and then start it again, that's a little bit more disruptive. But as the Mayor Pro Tem Cohen said during the city council meeting, custodians understand having to weigh the competing, sometimes conflicting interests. And we will continue with recycling. We just have to put forth a strategic plan where it can continue, where it's cost efficient, and we'll try to do it in such a way that's the least disruptive. But in the long run, in the long term, I think people in the city of Houston can know that this city council and I am committed to recycling. We are going to have a robust recycling plan in the long term, and I think it's going to be even better because I think there will be some even more competitive players out there. And this is the 4th largest city in the country. So I don't think anybody in the long term can ignore the city of Houston. And when you look at what Dallas is doing and now with the city of Houston, these are 2 of the largest urban centers in the state. And I think we're going to be an attractive market for other players.
Have you had any further contact with Waste Management since receipt of this email informing them what the city was going to do next?
No, there was no need for me to respond after seeing that email. Well, look, I'm a church-going person. I don't want to lose my religion. I mean, how would you respond? I mean, he took a swipe at me. I wasn't even in the company. I mean,
Mayor, can we talk about immigration? Can you talk to us about...
now we really changed
Yes,
something.
can we talk